When I first got out of prison, I really wondered whether any of the lessons that I'd learned on the inside or any of the perspective I'd gained would be of value out here in the world. Because I was really good at being in prison. I was good at leading classes. I was good at mentoring people. I was good at understanding the politics and navigating things in a way that allowed me to function, it allowed me to live a decent life, but I didn't know how it would be out in the world. Because I had this idea that things were different, that people who ran businesses were different, and people who had private equity funds or ran VCs, oh, they're just brilliant and they know things that I could never possibly understand. And what I've come to realize is that a lot of people have money that got it just by happenstance or by luck. A lot of people are successful through luck. A lot of people are not that good at their jobs. Now, it doesn't mean there aren't people out there. I'm inspired. The reason I work with the venture firm I work with is because I'm inspired by everybody that works there. I've been inspired by people in the nonprofit world, but I've also seen that some of the people in the nonprofit world are just absolute crooks or just absolutely incompetent at their jobs. So what I've come to realize is that a lot of the things I realized on the inside really do directly apply, because on the inside, you had to look for who was doing something good. Like, gang leaders are a really good example. When I first moved into C3, we had the head of the Bloods and the head of the Crips in the same pod. And they used to settle every problem really easily because they knew it's easier for everybody involved if we just squash the beef. Like, if there's an issue, if we got to basically jump our own guy, we're going to do it to prevent a war. Or if something else happens, we're going to calm it down. One time there was a big issue between the Bloods and the Crips where really both were wrong. There was no way to settle it, so they went on the cell and they fought each other. And they gave each other a good whooping, and then that was it. They squashed it for everybody on the compound because they were thinking like leaders. They were thinking like they were responsible for their people, and they would not stand for their people violating or basically preying on other people. They would not stand for that understanding. But when they left and new youngins kind of came up and took a new position of power, they started making different decisions, and it wasn't nearly the same game. And that was when I started seeing people who were taking advantage of everybody and kind of living out of this scarcity mentality and this individualist mentality rather than a collective one. Because their idea was, okay, we're a community, we're going to help one another. The new guys were like, oh, what can I get out of this? Like, how can I profit from this? I remember one guy who literally got jumped out of the gang as a leader because he was stealing from the group. Like, how can you run a group and say they're your family and steal from them? Anyways, that's what I see out here in the world because I see these people in business, and some people are doing incredibly well, and some people have just a scarcity mentality. They're like, no, I won't make an introduction unless I get this, and no, I won't help unless I get that, and everything's monetized. But what I've realized is the people who monetize everything and limit everything, they're the ones who may raise to value. They may end up a millionaire, they may end up in a position of power, but they never raise past a certain point. Because the people who really do well are people who look at it as a collective. They're the people who say, hey, a rising tide lifts all ships, so I'll help you because helping you will help the community, or will help everybody involved, or will help society, or make society safer. However you view it, they realize that we all have to work together. And that's what I found with working with other nonprofits. I'll go in the room, I'll meet with all these groups, and I find some who are just like, no, these are our resources, these are our donors, these are our projects, this is our topic, nobody can come near them. And it's like, if you really care about the cause, if you really want something good to happen, and you're wrapping your arms around something but you don't want anybody else to help with that, I think something's wrong. I think your mindset is at least off. And then I meet other nonprofits, like I was talking with Emilio today. They're amazing. They're like, how can we help? What do you need? We're going to share our resources. We'll ask you if you want to share yours. But they haven't asked for a single thing. Instead, they've said, hey, here's how we want to work together. Here's how we think you improve our pitch. Here's how we think you improve our platform. Here's the things we can do for you. Here's the things we can do together. And they have not once asked for something. And that's when I see they care about the cause. They care about the meaning, and they care about the impact. Because that's the way I feel as a nonprofit. We're running this mentorship app. We're building this app. We're going to try to get into prisons. We're going to work with people who are formerly incarcerated. We're going to connect them with professional mentors as well as people with lived experience. If we get this going and we find that somebody's doing it better than us and we're just replicating a service, we'll do something else. There is no reason for us to fight for resources and try to be the one providing this. This is not a for-profit company where we're trying to get market share. This is where we're trying to help people who are incarcerated and formerly incarcerated get out of prison and live successful lives. I want to see people succeed. I don't care who does that. I don't care whose name's on the billboard. That's not the point. And that's where I'm really realizing, just the same way as on the inside, you have people who are selfish and small-minded and holding things in. Out here in the world, you see people who do that. And sometimes people see those guys get a little bit of money or those women get a little bit of success and say, oh, that's how I have to be. Not realizing that ultimately what they're doing is limiting themselves. They're fighting over scraps, or they're fighting over really big scraps compared to the rest of the world, but they're leaving so much on the table. And the worst part is, if you're leaving money on the table, who cares? But if you're leaving social impact on the table, if you're leaving the opportunity to actually make the world a better place on the table because you're worried about your name being on the press release, or your name being on the billboard, or your name being on the whatever, charity ball, I really think that's a problem. And those are the people that I don't want to work with, and those are the people that I don't want to work around. And that's why I'm very selective, both in business and the nonprofit world, with finding people who have a collective mindset and people who care about one another and people who want to get things done.